The most upsetting thing about a franchise is the fan base. Take Sonic the Hedgehog as a prime example. I myself have been a fan since the beginning, and I've come to appreciate everything Sonic has thrown at us. He has a wide array of cartoons, comics, video games, and much more. But alas, as optimistic as I am, I'm heartbroken every time I see the fan base bash him for most of the mediums he comes out with. Take his 2006 game for example, considered one of the worst video games of this franchise. Me personally, I liked it. It has potential, and has its good points. Sure, it has its down points, but overall, I think it's a great game. But that's just the optimistic side of me. I wish there was some reviewer out there who would show us that there is potential and there are good points to the 2006 game. Some Sonic fan reviewer, some optimistic Sonic fan, someone like... Who, me? Oh, I don't know. Well, I guess I can give it a try. Okay. I'm the optimistic Sonic fan, and I like the Sonic 2006 Next Gen Sonic the Hedgehog video game. It's been widely speculated that the 2006 Sonic game is considered one of the worst games in the Sonic franchise. It's quite possibly one of the worst games in existence. Why is that? Well, the fans complained about its lagging gameplay, the unusually long loading screens, and the story is something out of a fanfiction. I, however, can see past all that. See the good sides of the game, and I can say there is more to it than anticipated. How about we play it, and I'll explain my point of view. Okay, there are basically 4 gameplay stories. You have Sonic Story, Shadow Story, and Newcomer Silver Story. Once all 3 are beaten, the 4th final story becomes available. With the exception of the final story, which occurs at the end, all 3 characters' stories tangle with each other. Already, I like the concept because you get to have fun with the ideas of what each character is going through. Plus, it's fun because when you play as one character, you interact with others. It makes the story concept more interesting when you play the other stories later. Let's start off with Sonic's story. Upon opening, we are shown a beautiful parade. This here is a human character named Princess Elise, voiced by Lacey Chabert. I must admit, the opening scene isn't rushed, but it's not boring either. Suddenly, Dr. Eggman shows up. This time, his robots are more humanoid. I also want to point out that Eggman's design is far creepier. It shows off his classic shapes, and yet shows implements of human forms. He looks disfigured, and yet could possibly be a being of our own world. In a way, he's like a Danny DeVito from Batman Returns creepy, but he pulls it off so well. And now, our Super Sonic hero arrives. At first, Elise thinks she sees Silver. This makes the story more interesting, because what does Silver have to do with Elise? Let's find out. So Sonic takes Elise and speeds off, but she is soon captured again, but not before giving her blue emerald to Sonic. Thus, the adventure begins. Now we get our first taste of the adventure fields that we had in Sonic Adventure 1. Only much larger, more beautifully designed, and you can interact with the people for either information or to accomplish tasks. I personally think this makes me, the player, get more deeply into the world of this game. Okay, on to the first of 10 levels. Sonic is in Wave Ocean, speeding through and busting up badniks. However, he's not going too fast. I like this because it gives you the chance to admire the beautiful scenery of the level. Now you get to play as Tails. He can fly, but he can also drop ring bombs and even snipe them. That's a big change in terms of Sonic gameplay, because most, not all the time, Sonic's enemies are trying to shoot you from a distance and you must actually get up to them to destroy them. This, however, was a nice change. Now we're on to the first warp speed level. Sure, it may be hard, but the game has been super easy up to this point. Anyway, by the time Sonic gets to the end, he missed his chance to get the princess. Sonic and Tails both realize they're doing the princess no good up to this point, so they collect their thoughts and try to come up with a new plan. Back to Soliana they go. So far, I have to say I enjoy the layout of this game. The story isn't fast-paced, but it doesn't drag either. Sonic and Tails return to Soliana, where, after helping a little girl off the roof of a building, they head to the desert. There, they find Princess Elise. But then Eggman shows up. Sonic and Tails strike a cool battle pose, and we are introduced to the first boss. I have to just say, the design and animation of Egg Cerberus is one of the most interesting bosses in the Sonic game. Unlike most other robot bosses, this one acts and behaves like a real dog, which makes him way more menacing. Sonic eventually destroys Egg Cerberus, but are pursued by more of Eggman's robots. In a quick twist of characters, Tails offers to allow the robots to chase him while Sonic escapes with the princess. Instead of acting like an overprotective older brother, Sonic trusts Tails' abilities.
Leave it to me.
That alone shows character development and even maturity among the two besties. Sonic and Elise eventually escape through the desert, and we get to another cutscene. I love this scene because it shows some foreshadowing development between Sonic and Elise. In addition, Elise explains why Eggman wants her, giving us more details into the plot of the story. Apparently, Eggman wants Elise to use the flames of disaster, and right here, Sonic says a phrase that sticks with me.
Nothing starts until you take action.
That's a phrase that I hold near and dear to my heart. Sonic basically is saying the world isn't going to be handed to you. You need to perform and act to get from point A to point B in life. I use that line in my motto to get what I want in my life. Thank you, Sonic. Back home in Soliana, they are met by a mysterious hedgehog, a newcomer with psychokinesis abilities. Once you defeat Silver, the princess is captured. Silver tries to take down Sonic, but then Amy shows up. Now the plot is interesting. How does Silver and Amy know each other? Anyway, Sonic chases after Elise. To chase after her, you have to play a puzzle game to advance further. Then, you enter another adventure field in Soliana, where there is a major battle at a warehouse. What's Sonic without action in battles, huh? Once the battle is over, the triple threat unites. We get our first glimpse of Knuckles, who delivers a ransom message to Sonic. The Chaos Emerald in exchange for the princess in White Acropolis. Sonic, who has the Blue Emerald that Elise gave him earlier, decides to go through with the offer. We venture through a snow-filled level until the triple threat arrive at the base. As if waiting for them, Eggman and Elise are present and tell Sonic to place the Chaos Emerald on a pedestal. Unfortunately, it's a trick, and Eggman teleports the triple threat away. Back to our heroes. They arrive in the future, where they suddenly meet Shadow and Rouge.
Hi, long time no see.
They explain that they're in a destroyed future 200 years ahead. They need to use the power of the Chaos Emeralds and Chaos Control to get back. Our heroes now must venture through a post-apocalyptic world. This is interesting because Sonic now must fight giant monsters that are neither robot nor flesh. I really love these new villains because they can be unpredictable. They're menacing, scary, and they seem to come in many shapes and forms. After the long journey, The triple threat stumble upon a hidden room. Inside, we see Silver, but we also see Blaze the cat and a hedgehog that looks eerily like Shadow. This hedgehog is Mephiles, and I'll talk more about him in Shadow's story. The plot gets deeper, and we see why Silver wants to destroy Sonic. Once they disappear, our heroes look up in the computer and discover that Princess Elise died 2 days after the festival. So if they don't get back in their own time soon, trouble. Afterwards, our heroes return to Shadow and Rouge, who have a Chaos Emerald. Now we enter the second Future World level. The first one showed how rural and urban cities perished in a post-apocalyptic world. Now we see Mountain and how nature suffered in such a way. Despite how difficult these two levels are, I like how they are portrayed in such ways. The graphics are outstanding, and the monsters are intimidating and different from other enemies in other Sonic games. Next, we see our heroes reaching the Chaos Emerald. Surprise! It's a trap! Who is this creature? Doesn't matter, our heroes need to defeat it. This boss is very interesting, not too difficult, and yet the only hard part is the unpredictability. Also, Sonic shows off more of his cockiness. That's why we love him. Once Iblis is defeated, they use Chaos Control to open a portal back to their own time. But before Shadow and Rouge jump through, something catches Shadow's eye and fade to black. That made the scene very interesting. To know what caught Shadow's attention, you'd have to play his story. I like cutscenes like that because it keeps drawing you deeper in. You want to know more. The triple threat returned back to Soliana. After getting to the train station, Sonic uses a vent to sneak in. In this level, Sonic must rescue Elise from a runaway train. This is quite possibly the most fast-paced level in the entire game. Once there, Sonic again rescues Elise, but is soon confronted by Silver again. Just like last time, Sonic is distracted, and Elise is caught for the third time. This time, it looks like Silver is about to finish up Sonic, but then Shadow shows up. This allows Sonic to give chase, and what leads to an epic standoff. Unfortunately, we'll have to see the standoff later. Instead, we get this gutsy scene. It seems that Princess Elise doesn't want to take chances anymore, and she chooses to jump. Take it from someone who has been in high places before. Jumping from even a small height makes you worry. Looking over the edge makes you tense up. And the height Elise is, this shows her sheer determination not to be a prisoner again. Sonic catches her, but Eggman shows equal determination by launching a new boss. After fighting Iblis, this boss is a nice return back to the classic fighting robots and machines that Sonic is used to. Once destroyed, Sonic and Elise are chased into a jungle. At this level, the scenery is so beautiful. Once Sonic and Elise escape, we come to one of my favorite scenes. The reason I love this scene so much is that it's a change of pace from the fast-paced action we've been seeing up to this point. In addition, we also see Elise evolving her character and admit she enjoys being more than a princess, but just as herself. Overall, I like this scene. It shows some heartfelt emotion between Sonic and Elise. This is something rare in the Sonic franchise. Suddenly, Eggman shows up and, instead of kidnapping her, demands she turn herself in or level the city. Elise makes a bold decision to go. Again, another gutsy move. This is followed by playing as Tails. I really love Sonic video games where you can play different characters as opposed to being locked onto just Sonic. Anyway, Tails plays Wave Ocean from the beginning, and then we get this cutscene of Eggman and Elise. He finally explains why Elise is so important. That's right, Eggman wants to use the power inside Elise to release Solaris and control time. Sinister, no? Back to Sonic. Sonic and Tails are informed to get to Elise they must go to the ancient castle. But to get there, Sonic must pass 3 trials: knowledge, courage, and love. So, Sonic goes through the way to the ancient castle when all of a sudden he runs into Silver for the 3rd time. Seems like Silver has changed. Last we saw him, he was with Shadow. Makes you wonder what happened between them. Until then, Sonic has gained an ally. Sonic and Silver must venture through this ancient castle. We also get a first glimpse of Silver's gameplay in this level. The way he fights is wicked cool. Psychokinesis is something that's never been used in a Sonic game, so seeing it portrayed here, as well as controlling it finally, makes this game awesome and different from the others. And by the way, fans complain about the low frame rate of this game, but it only seems to happen during large explosions of enemies. I look at the glass half full. See it as cool, slow-mo action scene. Action stars look good walking slowly through flames. Once Sonic finishes, something goes wrong with the Eggman ship. Sonic, Silver, and Blaze arrive just in time to see Eggman's ship destroyed. At first, we see Sonic go through an emotional outburst. Emotion is something we rarely see in Sonic, and this is one of those times where it can work in the right situation. Silver suggests using time control to save Elise, but not before Sonic gives Silver a good farewell. Sonic and Silver have come a long way since the start of this game. They started off as enemies trying to kill each other, but then Silver evolved and basically became Sonic's strongest ally. What happened? We'll talk about that in Silver's episode. Sonic goes back in time, but he doesn't have much time left. To open the gate to the stage, Sonic must ring 3 bells. Once done, he, along with Tails and Knuckles, enter the last stage. You must get to the ship before it takes off. I like this level because it's more than just running through and trying to reach the gold ring. Certain tasks must be accomplished to proceed. But that's not to say it's not fast-paced. I honestly like that. Once done, Sonic jumps onto the ship in time. Then we go back to Eggman and Elise faced with a similar problem from last time. This time, however, Sonic shows up. Now we face the final boss. This boss isn't that hard. In fact, I find this boss to be exciting. I only speak for myself. I don't like frustratingly difficult bosses. At the same time, it's not fun if a game is way too easy. This final boss managed to fit both bills. Not easy, but not frustrating. Once destroyed, Sonic and Elise make an action movie style escape with one-liners, jumps, explosions, and finally clumsiness on a green grass. Sonic's story ends with both laughing. The end of Sonic's story. Not bad overall, but it could have been better. Hey, who turned out the lights? Ugh. Huh? What the? Where am I? Why am I here? What's going on? Huh? You mean I can't like everything? Well, okay, I guess I can't like everything. I guess the main characters having their mouths in the center of their muzzles is something to get used to. I didn't like how you have to move the camera around when fighting bosses, unlike previous installments where the camera keeps focus on the boss with the playable character centered. One more thing. Sometimes the very large adventure fields can be so big that it's easy to get lost in them. There! I said it! Now leave me alone! That's it for Sonic's story. Sure, we still got Shadow and Silver stories to contend with, but in the end, let's try to appreciate what Sonic's story had to offer. I admit it wasn't great, and I can see why a lot of people didn't like this game. But if you look closely at something, even the smallest pros can shine so bright, and you'll be able to see the good in anything. As for me, I better check out what else is out there that gives Sonic a bad rep. I'm the optimistic Sonic fan, and I'll see you next time.